Okay, we are talking with Butch Patrick today. Butch, thanks for joining us for our anniversary show.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you were here back in 2018, so it's been 5 years, and it's a pleasure to have you back, of course. And, you know, something I've always wondered about you, Butch, is I bet you Halloween is a very, very busy time of year for you. What is, like, your typical Halloween sort of, like, like that event? What is it like for you?
Well, it's varied over the years. I've done back in 2000, I was at the opening of Busch Gardens Hollow Scream, the first time Busch Gardens ever became a nighttime park for all the properties, and I was there a whole month. We did 5 shows a night. That's the biggest thing I ever did. And then I've done everything from mom and pop stuff to horror, Halloween horror nights and everything in between. This particular year, I'm going to be Friday night. I'll be at Hot Springs, Arkansas. Saturday day, I'll be at 3 different spots. I have an arcade in the morning. I have a car dealership in the afternoon, and then I have a party in the evening. Sunday, I'm driving all the way to Houston, and then Monday night we're having a huge extravaganza at the Animazing Art Gallery in Texas.
Wow. Yeah, I figured your season was pretty crazy around this time of year.
Yeah, and then after that I drive back. I'm handing off my Munster coach is being bought by a gentleman there. I'm finally giving it to him after 3 years of payments, and then I have a new one being delivered after the first of the year. So I'm very excited because I've enjoyed this particular coach, but it's not an accurate Barris reproduction, so the new one will be.
Interesting. Speaking of reproductions, back when we spoke in 2018, we were talking about the Woof Woof, the little werewolf dolls that you were known for on the Munsters. Yep. And you told me that back in sometime around the late 1990s, those dolls were, of course, handmade one at a time by a gentleman in Oregon. You said they were going for like $1,500 back in the late 90s, but in 2018, they were going for a pretty great price of $750. I wonder if they're still available and if they're still for sale today.
Yes, the gentleman in Oregon, those are the $750 dolls. The ones prior were out of Phoenix, Arizona. The gentleman up in Arizona, in Oregon, I believe, has gotten over his issues with the allergic reaction to the latex rubber. That's what stopped us. I would have to get back into it. I haven't been making it lately, but people, there is a constant demand for them. So I'm going to have to reach out and rethink that one.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I know,
to answer your question, there is one on Munsters.com that's made by Illusion Industries down in Burbank. That is a professional studio movie making situation. So there are some available. They range from $750 to $2,000.
And that's Munsters.com. Is that your website?
That is my website.
Awesome. I know we talked before, Butch, and you were mentioning that there was a possibility of an Eddie Munster museum/TV show type situation. Did that ever pan out?
No. What I'm going to do here, it's funny, I just went through a haunted attraction here in Arkansas where I'm living, and the gentleman's got like 20 acres, and he's got a haunt that he's been doing for 11 years, and I'm going to think that I'm going to utilize one of his buildings and recreate the Stage 32 soundstage that the Munsters was shot on and do a museum situation there next October. So yeah, we're moving along with that. It's going to be a combination of a haunted attraction and a universal museum of the monsters that launched the whole Halloween and horror genre back in the 30s.
Wow, that's super cool news to hear.
Thank you.
Also, you mentioned before about the Americana interviews situation. You were thinking of a TV show that you were possibly going to do. Did that ever come to fruition at all, the Americana stuff?
Yeah, no, I haven't done that. It's still a very strong possibility that I will. Right now we're working on a haunt improvement, which is very much like a home improvement show, fixer-upper, but doing it with haunted attractions around the country.
Very cool. It'd be funny if Rob Zombie or somebody would like remake Munster Go Home and bring some attention to you, so you could get some people pointing at your place there in Arkansas. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, we're going to probably have some, we're going to call them the Scream Team, and we're going to have some celebrity signature scare rooms. So, yes, I'm hoping to include several of my friends in the industry to help me out a little bit and work with them to create and design something that we can implement into the show.
Gosh, hopefully you could talk to Alice Cooper as well. You guys would be a great team. Ha!
Yeah, he's on my short list.
I bet. Butch, I know that you're also a rock and roll fan, and you have been your whole life. I was going to ask you a couple of questions. Do you play any musical instruments yourself?
No, I had a bass guitar most of my life. I never really took the time to learn how to play it properly. I enjoyed having it. I enjoyed just, it's sort of like a therapy bass where I would sit down and bide my time playing it. But I'm thinking about getting a drum set just for something to do, make some noise, and also it's good exercise.
Right, great way to stay in shape, and plus keep rocking as you get older instead of the opposite.
Absolutely.
Instead of just a rocking chair.
Yeah.
But I know that you're a big Beatles fan. Do you have a favorite Beatle?
Well, it was interesting when I was growing up. Probably Paul was my favorite, and then after I met Louise Harrison and I got to know her, George's older sister, I gained a lot of appreciation for George, although I really got a lot of appreciation for George when the Beatles broke up and he came out with All Things Must Pass and Bangladesh and all the things that he was doing, because he was really an under-heralded Beatle talent at the time, and I really wasn't aware of what a great guitar player he was. So George snuck up on me, and he probably became my favorite. And honestly, but for longevity and what's been going on, Ringo's really done some good stuff too.
Yeah, I recently picked up the greatest hits from Ringo Starr, and I forgot how many hit songs the guy has.
Yeah, and they're very fun songs too. He's got a really good personality, which sort of bleeds into his songs.
Interesting. Also, I know that in the past, at least, you had told me you were a big AC/DC fan, which I am as well. Do you have a favorite album by AC/DC?
Oh, God, Back in Black, like everybody else.
Great choice. Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Are there any new bands today in 2022 that you like or that you have listened to?
I hate to say this, but no, there's some good stuff out there, but I'm on the road and I'm listening to the classic stuff, 70s, 60s, 70s stuff. Although there's some new. Slipknot's pretty good. Green Day. I enjoyed a while ago Matchbox 20. I just saw a great concert with a friend of mine who's the lead guitar player for Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I was very impressed with their show.
Oh, gosh, they're amazing live. Really, really awesome.
Yep.
I remember you telling me that you saw Led Zeppelin 21 times in concert.
If not more, but it was definitely double digits, and it was my go-to band in the day. I saw them more than anybody.
That's insane. That is crazy. Yeah, I love Led Zeppelin, I've got to say, man. I remember you telling me also back 5 years ago that you were traveling at least 60,000 miles a year in your vehicle doing different appearances and whatnot. Is that still the same lifestyle for you, or has that changed?
Yeah, it's funny. I was putting a door on my trailer today, and the guy was asking me how many miles does this trailer have on it. I said, well, it's only a year and a half old. It's got about 60,000 miles on it, and I remembered, I go, wow, even through the pandemic, I was driving at least 30 to 35. And on a busy year, I have no problem doing 1,000 miles a week. That's fairly common.
Wow, that's a lot of driving, but that's cool that you keep, like they say, a body in motion tends to stay in motion. So,
yeah, it's just the nature of the beast.
Well, one of our dear listeners and supporters of the Church of Rock, her name is Karen Lee. She was wondering if you've ever written a book. I do know that you had the Munster memory book. Is there any other books that you've done or are going to do?
Yeah, there was a book out about 20 years ago. It was called Butch Patrick, a.k.a. EDDIE MUNSTER, and it was kind of like a, but I didn't actually write it. It was written by a woman named Helen Darris, and I collaborated on it. She wrote it down and did that. And it was okay, but books, they're very, very time consuming, and to be honest with you, they're not very lucrative. They don't really make a whole lot of money, and to put that much time and effort at this point in my life, at almost 70 years old, it's just nothing. It's nothing unless maybe something changes radically, and I want to sit in a rocking chair on a porch for 6 months to put down everything. But no, I don't think so. But thank you for asking.
Yeah, but you make a good point, though, because so much work does go into putting in a book, and I've heard that it can be either very therapeutic or it can be a nightmare.
Well, unless you're a president or unless you've got a lot of dirt on somebody and you can get a big advance, it's not cost effective.
Makes sense. Since it is Halloween time, do you happen to have any favorite horror films?
Oh, sure, but I'm not a big slasher type of blood and guts guy. I'm more of a psychological thriller. Back in the day, I loved the old Universal monster movies, without them, without all the gore. But the Creature from the Black Lagoon was always one of my favorites. And then moving into the 60s and 70s, of course, The Exorcist, The Shining, things of that nature, And then I just saw a movie the other night that I actually liked a lot. And I didn't think I would. It was called Smile.
Interesting. Smile.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it from Butch Patrick. If you want a new thriller to check out, Smile might be the one. You never know.
Yeah, I really do. It was really good, surprisingly.
I know back in the past, you were a rocker and a partier and all that good stuff. How have you maintained these years? And later on, since we've talked, have you still practiced sobriety? Is that something you do, or are you into like practicing the middle path, or what does Butch Patrick do these days?
12 years, man. Next month.
Wow, that's awesome. Yep, I think last time I talked to you it was like 8 years, so that makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm there. I'm the long haul.
Yeah, congratulations on that. I just wanted to bring that up because a lot of people have mentioned before that you were an inspiration to them in that department, so I had to say something about it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's been really heartwarming to be able to help people take that first step towards sobriety, because the biggest problem is not knowing how to get started. Once you get sober, and it's tricky to stay sober, but the hard part is to really just to get the ball rolling and start the process. And I'm good at getting people a little bit of a pep talk and a little bit of knowledge of how to go about doing it, because it's there's lots of ways, and lots of people are get drawn into certain situations and certain ways of going about it. And, there's this way, there's that way, and it's nice to be able to help people just take one step and get them going.
Absolutely, that's great. I'll never forget years and years ago, I remember somebody, and I don't know who it was, but it was in L.A., and they said, EDDIE Munster was my coke dealer. And I just about died, and that's the last I ever heard of the subject, and I just remember hearing that one time.
Well, there's a couple things about that. That doesn't necessarily mean it's me.
No, I know. I didn't think it was. I just heard that. I'm like, that is bizarre. I had to say it. But hey, Butch, it's been nice that you've made the time in your busy schedule to talk to us on our anniversary show, and appreciate that you made the time. And Munsters.com is Butch Patrick's website, and we wish nothing but the best for you, my friend.
Check out my Instagram, All Things Munsters, brand new. You'll find Rob Zombie and a lot of other neat stuff there. Let's check in another 5 years. I'm sure I'll still be here. Hopefully you will too.
Yeah, I'll talk to you when you're 75.
Got it.
Rock and roll, Butch.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, take care, man. Thanks.
Bye-bye.